Every generation has events that shape who they are. The greatest generation defeated fascism in World War II. The silent generation was defined by ambiguity in the Forgotten War. Baby boomers had Woodstock, and Generation Xers had the introduction of personal technology. But it is the millennials who could be the next great generation. Join 12 Penn State students as they discover what it means to be this generation. We are the Millennials.
A lot of my friends are really interested in the upcoming election, and I've always wondered if our generation felt the same exact way. I know that there's a bunch of politicians coming here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming to Penn State. There's Obama's coming soon. Ron Paul's expected to make a visit. Members of the Hillary campaign too.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea because, you know, the first time we were able to vote, it was just kind of a novelty to be able to vote. But now, as we're more immersed in the process, and it's more interesting, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should go to a few of the speakers and see the turnout.
Yeah.
There'll be lots of issues in the forefront of millennials' minds come the presidential election.
The environment.
Definitely the war in Iraq.
Insurance, definitely.
Definitely healthcare.
The economy.
Reform.
There's no doubt this election has caught the attention of millennials. In fact, across the nation, the number of young people voting in those primaries has tripled or quadrupled in many states. So, what is it about this election that has us so inspired to rock the vote? Maybe it's the history that this election will surely make if any of the foremost candidates makes it to the Oval Office. Hillary Clinton would be the first female president, Barack Obama the first black president, and John McCain the nation's oldest president. But for a lot of millennials, it marks the very first time they'll be able to vote in a presidential election, and that has many of them excited. Sean Leonard is the president of Penn State Students for Hillary Clinton. He's caught up in the election because of how important the youth vote is.
I think now, at least in the past year, so many kids realize that, 8 years from now, 4 years from now, they're going to be in their parents' shoes. They're going to be out there in the world on their own, worrying about these same issues that our parents are worrying about. And who becomes the next president is going to affect the way that their futures are.
And the candidates seem to be just as interested in us as we are in them. Most of the major campaigns in the race to the White House made pit stops at Penn State and many other colleges throughout the last year.
And I know how expensive college has become, especially at great campuses like this. It didn't used to be like that. I borrowed money from the federal government at 2% interest.
And I don't know about you, Nittany Lions, but I think it's about time we made college affordable and accessible for every young person in America.
But no matter what candidate will have your vote, there's no denying that us millennials have a huge stake in the future. Brian Williams or Ryan Seacrest, who do you get your nightly news from? Well, if you're anything like other millennials, it's probably a nice mix of both. Well, maybe a bit heavy on the e-news. We're a culture that is admittedly obsessed with celebrities and their every move, so much so that this fascination is sneaking into our real newscasts and creating a product known as infotainment.
News is a faster pace. They devote less time to individual stories. The language of news is more simplistic. And I just think when you look at the topics of news, all of the stories about Britney Spears or Paris Hilton or Lindsay Lohan, then that, again, is something you see every day.
Penn State Media Studies professor Matt McAllister has been studying infotainment for years. He says it stems from poor journalism.
But I think news has not done a good job about making the bigger issues directly relevant and explaining to us why we should care and how it affects this kind of global community that we all live in.
And that's when the media brings in their secret weapons to keep up ratings. That's right, celebrities, gossip, and celebrity gossip. But is it our fault for craving this type of fluff news?
So what's unclear to me is, to what extent do the media give us what we want, or to what extent do the media train us to want certain things over the course of years? So do we all enjoy celebrity news? Yes. But to what extent have we been fed such a steady diet of entertainment-oriented news, that this is now what we come to expect.
Luckily, this trend doesn't seem to be dangerous yet. McAllister says there are currently enough news outlets who will provide you with just the facts. You just have to seek them out.
My name is Matt McCluskey. I'm a beatboxer and I'm a millennial.
This special presentation of the Big Ten Network is brought to you by the Penn State College of Communications and Penn State Public Broadcasting.
Right now I'm in my first serious college relationship, and I think I might be treating my boyfriend a little bit differently because of how I've seen my parents go through their divorce and everything. Do you guys feel the same, or?
Yeah, I just wonder if it was different for our parents than how we get into relationships now versus how they did in the past.
Right, I think we should definitely look at the differences between those two generations, but I think we should also look at gay and lesbian relationships. Not only are more people open about their own sexuality, but I think our generation is more open to those kind of relationships also.
Yeah, no doubt.
The Millennial Generation is in a stage where intimate relationships play a major role in our lives. But the relationships we form seem to be different from those of our parents' generation.
Back in the past, it was more serious about, when dating, you're kind of looking for that straight, that straight relationship, getting married. And I feel like, especially in our culture today, it's more just like casual dating.
When I was in school and going to college, a lot of people that I knew had long-term relationships. They were, committed to that. Whether they stayed together at the end, I don't know, but there wasn't as much promiscuity, I guess, as there is now.
With more people and freedom in college, it only seems realistic to take advantage of those options.
I think that, especially in college, it opens a lot of opportunities, especially time-wise.
Coming to college, a lot of people feel that, they just want to get the best out of college, not get too engaged in a serious relationship.
But couple Jonathan Arvell and Ashley Mute say they like being in a serious relationship.
I'm happy I'm in a serious relationship, basically because it helps me stay focused more. I guess that's the difference. People that are in relationships, I guess, are more focused in life as to what they really want, as to what ambitions they really have, as to other people just like looking around and having fun.
Whether it's casual dating or a serious relationship, Williams and Allinger think both are acceptable.
Maturity-wise, I don't think there's that much difference between then and now. I think now, of course, as time goes on, you know a lot more, just from either your parents or, the internet.
I guess it really just depends on the individual and what they're looking for.
Penn State millennials are finding their perfect mate, whether it's male or female, hetero or homosexual, and other millennials are perfectly fine with that. State College Mayor Bill Welsh recently performed a commitment ceremony in Alumni Hall for this couple, Frank and Paul. Frank is from New York City and Paul is from Scranton, but it took a New York City club to bring the two together.
But I walked in, saw him, everybody else in the room was gone, and it was love at first sight, really. And
although this cliche did come true for these two, their commitment ceremony was uneventful despite a whopping 8 protesters and dozens of people called silent witnesses to make sure the 4 homosexual couples being committed were able to remember this historic event. The lesbian, gay, bi, transgender allies told us that between 7 to 14% of the Penn State student body is a part of this community. But the other 86 to 93% of Penn Staters are allegedly accepting, but still some are unable to call homosexuality what it is.
Just kind of observing on campus, it seems like, once people get out of the high school mood, that people become a little more tolerant of that, a little more open-minded.
But nonetheless, the student body is still at least respectful of their rights to express themselves.
It's becoming a lot more common, and I think as a whole we're growing to accept it a lot more. But I don't know, not necessarily much of a drastic change. It's just becoming widely accepted more.
You know, I think it becomes less of an issue of, you know, that homosexuality, and that people really can see that, you know, they're real people too, and they treat others with respect. So, I mean, that's what I feel, at least from the Penn State student body, that it seems to be a general consensus of respect towards others.
The gay community is much smaller, but we have not run into anybody, I would say, I guess, like, as a whole, because of certain protests and things like that, it may not be as open, but we've had nothing but support and acceptance for us. Yep. So it's been great.
I can't believe that two people like Frank and Paul are already ready to be committed in a relationship. I know I'm nowhere near ready for something like that.
And there are a lot of kids in our generation. I'm sure we all know people, friends from high school, whatnot, who are getting married, having kids already.
I know we're not ready. I know a lot of people in our generation aren't ready. And there comes a concern about sexually transmitted diseases, and there's been a lot of alarming statistics about that.
Right. The Center for Disease Control just released a study that said that 1 in 4 teenage girls has an STD. That's definitely alarming. But I think what's even scarier is that the most widespread infection is HPV, which a lot of people don't really know about.
It's the one with the shot, right?
Right. So we should see what people know and maybe some facts about it.
Sexually transmitted diseases. We've heard about them, but what all do millennials know about them?
Not too much, and I really hope I don't learn too much ever.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but I know they're out there and basically how you get them and how to avoid getting them.
I don't really know a whole lot about them.
But the Center for Disease Control released a 2008 study that 1 in 4 young American women are infected with an STD.
I think that's crazy. I think that the world today is mostly about sex, and I think it's kind of sad.
I think that's way too high. I mean, I don't know. It almost seems like people are being irresponsible once they have them and passing them on.
Oh yeah, it definitely surprises me. It shows that college students are a lot more sexually active than I would think.
The most widespread infection is the human papillomavirus, which is directly connected to 99.7% of cervical cancers in women. But listen up, guys. HPV also causes genital warts in both women and men.
It almost assumes that all men have it because it's transmitted sexually.
So how does this affect our generation?
Young people need to be more connected with their health, period. And health encompasses everything: your lifestyle, your sleep patterns, your sexual activities, your drinking patterns. So if I had to say that young adults need to be more concerned about STD, they need to be more concerned about their health.
You know, it's been 40 years since Martin Luther King was assassinated now, and I think our culture, our society as a whole has made a lot of leaps and bounds in confronting racism.
Yeah, I think even here at Penn State, we've been doing a lot to bring everyone together culturally.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different events that the university holds and groups within the university hold, like the Tunnel of Oppression, and I think it would be a good thing for us to look at and see what has been done and what more we're doing right now.
Race. It remains a touchy subject even 40 years after civil rights legislation was passed in this country. But unlike the 1960s, racism today bubbles beneath the surface.
People don't think they're being racist, but they may be holding prejudice that they don't even know that they have.
They don't see institutionalized racism. They don't see some of these more subtle forms that we see today.
A lot of people are turned off and don't feel comfortable talking about just strictly racial things.
But we still need to talk about issues of race. We have to understand each other to continue towards a more equal society. At Penn State, Dr. Ronald Jackson tackles racial issues in his classes.
We cover everything that you can think of politically and structurally. For example, issues relating to housing, unemployment, crime, schooling.
Jackson hopes to change how his students see themselves when it comes to race. He thinks a changed identity can lead to a level of understanding that goes beyond the classroom.
If individuals can attach the issue of race to how they self-define, then it usually allows them to think more critically about themselves as well as cultural others. Even as we come to the classroom to talk about these issues, we're not really just talking about some general academic issue. What we're really doing is exchanging codes of personhood even as we talk, that we're already, as people come into the classroom, bringing our own cultural differences, and those mean something.
Some millennials choose to proactively address issues of race.
My name is Jason Littman. I'm a junior here at Penn State, and I'm a co-facilitator on the Race Relations Project. We talk to classrooms or small sections about race relations and how race affects them in their lives and how they see race and diversity.
The Race Relations Project is entirely student-run. It attempts to start conversation about a traditionally taboo topic.
For them, some of it's shock, just to hear what other people are saying. Some of it is fear. They're just afraid to talk about some of it. I think in society, we're sort of asked to be politically correct about race, and we're not really allowed to talk about it the way we'd like, the way we think about it, because we're afraid someone's going to judge us. The Race Relations Project gives people the opportunity that come from those backgrounds and a chance to talk about how they really feel.
Maren Thomas has been a part of the RRP for 4 years. She's seen people struggle with racial issues, but those struggles are necessary for progress.
If you don't talk about what bothers you, regardless if it's race or if it's a family problem, it's never going to get resolved. It's not going to be easy. It's not, it's not going to be pleasant, but only once you hit those rough grounds can you get to somewhere smooth.
As our generation matures into the decision makers of America, it's up to us to continue making progress.
Where's the future? I think the future is with each and every one of us. The future is with individuals taking personal responsibility for issues of race, even when they're in the comfort of their own living rooms.
Hi, I'm Alex Stednicki. I'm a songwriter and I'm a millennial.
This special presentation of the Big Ten Network is brought to you by the Penn State College of Communications and Penn State Public Broadcasting.
We are Penn State. We are the Millennials.
Hi, I'm Adam Keim.
Hi, I'm Alex Krishunas.
And we are Millennials.
And for fun, we like to drift. I like to drift because it's something different. It's different from any other motorsport. You're going sideways and it's really challenging. And we come out here and you get to practice and get better. So yeah, it's pretty much a lot of fun and that's why we like to do it.
My name's Ken Grazier. I'm a senior here at Penn State University, and what I like to do is play board games and card games. We meet every Saturday for at least 8 hours playing different kinds of board card games. One of the big games I like to play is Ticket to Ride. It's more of a hobby level game, but it's still pretty popular among a lot of people.
What our club is a hip-hop dance club. We're primarily known for b-boying, which is breakdancing. A song comes on, and that whatever the beat is, you just kind of gotta let it get in your body first. Music just moves you. And you have to do choreography. I just kind of let the music move me.
Indoor activities, I like watching TV. I'd like to watch different shows, looking on Facebook, things like that. I particularly like listening to Jordan Sparks. And I do like to read novels. Whenever I do something that's fun, I'll read a magazine or watch television, maybe watch a movie, things like that.
So our generation definitely likes to have fun, but it costs a lot of money. Are we saving? What do you think, Ben?
Our generation has been characterized as wanting instant gratification, and financial planning is really the opposite of that. So I'm wondering, how is our generation dealing with that at all, if we are dealing with it?
Right, I'm not sure if people are saving money.
Besides for the weekends.
Yeah, so maybe it's a story we should look into, see if they're planning even for retirement.
Millennials are keeping busy, but it all comes for a price. So, are we saving for the future or just thinking about the weekend?
I think people are just overspending and not even thinking about the future.
Some of them take it very seriously, some of them take it very casually.
Smart ones are the ones that are thinking about it.
Farnoosh Torabi, author of You're So Money, Live Rich Even When You're Not, can sum it all up.
You've got a generation that is spending beyond its means, its limits, because of all the pressures out there to have certain things, to live a certain lifestyle. In a lot of ways, accurately, the millennials are perceived to be first spenders and second savers.
Torabi suggests we separate our needs from our wants in order to live the good life.
The earlier you can start to imagine your good life, the better, and think about where are you spending your money, how are you spending your money, how are you saving, and how can you change that to better support your end goals.
Torabi provides loads of tips for saving throughout her book, but here are a few for starters.
Put yourself first, and what I mean by that is filter out all of the pressures hitting you left and right. Pressures from credit card companies, pressures from stores and retailers, and also pressure from your friends.
By starting to save now, millennials can look forward to a more fortunate future.
The millennials have yet again proved their concern for the future, whether it's who will be running our country or breaking down issues of race. We like to have fun, but we are still learning. We do know that we are more tolerant of people different than us, regardless of their race, culture, or sexuality, than the generations have been before us. And this is what could make us the next great generation. We are
the Millennials.
A copy of the program you've just seen can be purchased through Penn State Media Sales at mediasales.psu.edu or by calling 800-770-2111.